it's our turn to discuss our differences. I gather that you will have thought this through thoroughly, and have a lot to say on the issue. Of course, when the production team contacted me last Thursday, I was glad that they allowed me ample time to make my preparations. I already have a lot of personal insight into our differences, based on past experience. But as you know from our previous conversations, I regard being factual with my information to be an absolute necessity. And so I took the liberty of engaging in some additional research, which you have no doubt memorized at length. I believe that I've held in mind what is necessary to adequately inform the viewers about how our cognitive functions set us apart. I'll let you know right now, I'm not having you taking over the conversation with superfluous information. There's a time limit on this discussion. I'm fully aware of exactly how long we have available, and I've already taken this into account. You say that now, but I have visions of you ending up talking about your daily routine in minute detail when giving your examples. Who died and made you the boss of me?
Cut. Try to play nicely. From the top. Take 2.
Why do you think some people have difficulty differentiating between our types? We're both introverts who are thinkers. On the surface we can appear emotionless, stern, or aloof. According to socionics, extroverted feeling is our blind spot. This means that we are less likely to take other people's feelings into account when making decisions or expressing ourselves. So we're less likely to display warmth in our communication. This can cause us to seem colder and less friendly than other personality types. Also, we use the same judging functions in the same order, so we both have extroverted thinking and introverted feeling in second and third position. This gives us a similarity in how we judge information. To sum it up, our TE gives us the tendency to be objective and organized, as well as logical, methodical and constructive in our proceedings. We're able to consider the most efficient way of completing a task, and we're well suited to working to deadlines. Having FI in third position means that we can have strong personal values and drive. This means that we have the propensity to prioritize our goals in accordance with what we deem to be important. We can both be very industrious and work well with the operation of external systems. But there's a lot more to how our TE and FI functions work. Of course. But we're here to discuss our differences. What do you see as our main difference? Our perceiving functions are different. That's what really sets us apart. I lead with dominant introverted intuition, whilst you lead with dominant introverted sensing. Correct. For someone to tell us apart, they would need to discover whether we are perceiving the world through the lens of NI or SI. How would you describe your SI usage? Leading with dominant introverted sensing means that I rely on past experiences for my frame of reference when going about my everyday life. I relate the things that I see and hear to past experiences in order to get a better understanding of what is taking place. I'm good at noticing the information that I connect with using my 5 senses of sight, hearing, smell, touch, and taste. In great detail, I tend to focus upon the inherent property of physical objects. I can be good at detecting significant changes in my physical environment by comparing the present state of affairs to the previous state of affairs. Over time, I have accumulated an extensive database of factual knowledge. Leading with introverted sensing means that it's easier for me to recall the factual details of personal experiences and past events in the chronological order that they actually took place. I am able to derive significant meaning from the sensory information that I connect with. Deriving my knowledge from real-world experiences means that I'm able to develop a strong understanding of how things work in reality. This makes me very grounded and down-to-earth. I learn well through rehearsal, and so I am good at encoding step-by-step procedures. This gives me the propensity to recite stored information on cue with greater veracity than you. Admit it. You can have an in-depth understanding of abstract ideas, concepts, and theories, but you're not as good as me when it comes to recalling the specific details. With NI dominance, I'm focused on the future and seeing the bigger picture of what is happening, as well as predicting what will take place. My ideas are abstract and far less concrete than yours, so recalling the sensory details isn't my main priority. I'm drawn to gain theoretical understanding of how systems operate, in view of applying my insight to making significant functional improvements. I'm using my pattern recognition skills to identify and narrow in on specific problem areas, then creating solutions to solve them. I'm constantly working forward and striving to manifest the new. I use my intuitive insight to formulate the optimal steps that I will need to take in future, in alignment with the accomplishment of my long-term visions, goals, and aspirations. Believe it or not, I actually have long-term goals as well. Only your goals are more directly related to the things that you've seen and heard in the past. You say this, but how do you really know that your futuristic plans are really going to work? I adhere to the methods that have been tried and tested, and have been proven to work. This information supports me in the process of building the life that I want with greater certainty of success. But there is no such thing as absolute certainty. So what you're saying is not guaranteed. Just because a method has been proven to work in the past, there's no evidence to prove that it has greater potential for future success than a newly formulated method. Life is a lot more complex than that. I didn't say definitely. If everyone thought like you, scientific advancement would come to a virtual standstill. I'm inclined to make theoretical predictions about what I think will take place in future. This enables me to formulate contingency plans to cover a variety of likely occurrences. By recognizing meaningful patterns and trends that are taking place in the world, I can align with the trajectories that have the highest potential to deliver a return. My introverted sensing dominance enables me to prepare for what is likely to occur in the future. Based on personal experience, I'm able to pattern read what has actually taken place in the past. I have good potential to internalize and develop a workable understanding of society regulations, and decide upon which rules are most useful to adhere to when planning my way ahead, organizing my life in a way that limits the emergence of unexpected or unwanted occurrences. Puts me in a prime position to make provisions for what's very most likely going to take place next, and deal with these occurrences in a practical and efficient way. In other words, you live a very predictable life. Sticking to routines comes easier to me. I learn well through repetition, and this gives me the potential to build a high degree of competence when applying myself to a particular pursuit. Having SI gives me the propensity to commit to specific interests and become a specialist in any given topic area, field, or physical activity of my choice. Once I've ascertained the best way to carry out the task, I'm able to reliably repeat it, if I dare say, often close to perfection. As I predicted, you're certainly proving your tendency to talk more continuously than I do. In my opinion, talking about subjects in fluent detail enables me to demonstrate the wide expanse of my knowledge base, and recalling specific details means that people can fact-check what I'm saying, and prove that what I'm saying is actually correct. Well, I can't always prove what I'm saying, but my ideas are logically and mathematically workable, and once my plans manifest in reality, then it's clear that I was right. You implied earlier that I can talk a lot. From how I see it, it's my ability to talk extensively and factually on a given topic that makes people think that I might be an INTJ. Then clearly they don't understand what an INTJ actually is. After all, I've picked up a lot of detailed information along the way. As you keep saying, once I get going, the detailed level of knowledge that I possess becomes pretty apparent, especially when I share my knowledge of scientific findings, a topic that I personally like to research in my spare time. People can be quite impressed, especially as most of what I say comes from a verified source, and is therefore difficult to dispute. If anyone has any doubt, I can simply tell them to Google it. I've noticed that you absorb and recall a lot of information, as is, from reading books and watching YouTube. Yes, every sensory experience I choose to engage in adds to my data bank, running off information that others have said before you. Very original. When all is said and done, what you really need to remember are these 5 words. No one loves a hater. I know for certain that's not come from your NI. Naturally, because I'm an SI Dom, not just because of that. Then how? Because it's spray painted on the side of your car. As I predicted, we're coming up to the end of our time, and we haven't covered all of our function usage. There's more to our personality types than we've said in this video, like how our inferior function can also contribute to our differences. For example, Like how your fourth place NE can make you scared of changes. And like how your fourth place SE can make you detached from the sensory world. But you must agree that I put forth relevant points. That will help the viewers to better understand our differences. Yes. You said a lot. Judging by what has taken place during this discussion, I suggest we make another video explaining how our middle functions work with our dominant function, and how our fourth function impacts our processing. Yeah. In future.